Presiding Officer, on the side of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial, the founder of the US social security system is quoted as saying, "The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have too much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little." And we simply can't discount that when we choose to spend vast amounts of money on a particular item of defence, we choose to take money away from those in our society of the greatest need. And it isn't simply radical social reformers like FDR. Winston Churchill himself spoke of the tragedy of poverty and the tyranny of war. And in Liverpool in 1951, he said, "Evils can be created much quicker than they can be cured." And I think that absolutely touches on today's issue. I, like others, very much welcome Labour members who supported an anti-Trident motion 48 hours ago. Not the first time that Scottish members have done so, of course, and I wish them well. I wish them every encouragement in capturing their whole party for their position. I have to say the portents are not particularly encouraging, but I wish them well. Too many parliamentarians, perhaps south of the border, are taking up entrenched positions before they've heard the arguments from the Scottish Conference of the Labour Party, so I wish them well. I think Neil Findlay perhaps over-eggs the pudding a little bit by talking about the freedom of members to choose a debate at their conference. He is quoted as saying, in something I read today, there is no debate within the SNP. Well, I can tell him that members who choose the contents of our debates in SNP have debated the issue of weapons of mass destruction on 9 occasions this decade, since 2000, and on every occasion we've condemned it. But it's not a competition. Every debate that takes this forward is worth having anywhere. Now, Scotland's share, we've heard from the Minister, of the expenditure on Trident is £13.8 billion. The overall cost we're hearing now is £167 billion over the life of the system. Jackie Baillie, in her contribution to the debate on Sunday, suggested there are 13,000 jobs dependent on this. Now, the MOD disagrees. They say it's 570. But I'm prepared, solely for the purposes of the numbers I'm going to use, to accept Jackie Baillie's number. If we accept Jackie Baillie's number, and I dispute it, but if we accept Jackie Baillie's number, the cost of providing a job in the Trident industry is in excess of 10 times as expensive as providing a job in a similarly capable, similarly high-skilled activity in other areas of our economy. So we can spend. I will if she insists.
Thank you very much,
Jackie Baillie.
Stewart Stevenson, for taking an intervention. He keeps saying Jackie Baillie's numbers. These are the MOD numbers obtained through Freedom of Information requests. These are numbers conducted by established economists as to the local supply chain and the local economic multiplier effect. Not my numbers, but the numbers of credible organisations. I'm sure he would agree.
Well, on the same basis of generosity, I hope she will agree that when you divide one to the other, you end up with jobs 10 times as expensive as the highly qualified and gifted engineers working in the nuclear industry could be spending on other things. Now, the Conservative motion says, in an increasingly dangerous world, having a nuclear deterrent against both foreseen and unforeseen threats. That's a direct quote from the motion. Now, there's a series of questions come out of that. Have our missiles, or perhaps I should say more properly the United States missiles carried in our submarines, been retargeted away from the former Soviet Union to new targets? Have they prevented the Taliban in their Afghan mountain fastnesses from taking actions? Have they been a deterrent to them? Were they a deterrent to Saddam Hussein in his bunkers in Iraq? And are they today a deterrent for Daesh in Syria and Iraq? And of course, the answer the question answers itself. They are no deterrent of any kind whatsoever to the threats that there are in today's world. They are merely a Potemkin village of a defence provision that have nothing behind them that contributes to real defence. Now, the difference between the Conservatives and the SNP is, of course, that they, John Lamont tells us, would spend any sum of money. I would not spend my last penny on something that delivers nothing and is, in any event, as others have argued, immoral. Because our nuclear weapons, of course, are not targeted at our enemies, and they never will be. They don't attack the military capabilities of those who would attack us. They are, by design, focused on civilian populations over the horizon, beyond our view, beyond our ken, beyond our care. Often people in totalitarian regimes who have had no contribution whatsoever to the decision-making about peace or war. Now, let me close, Presiding Officer, by returning to Churchill's dichotomy. When we choose to spend our money on weapons of mass destruction, we neither address the tyranny of war, nor do we remove the tragedy of poverty. Presiding Officer.